the divine message behind the specific animals crossing your path this very week. Most people think animals are random background noise, but the Bible never did, because throughout Scripture, God used animals to warn kings before kingdoms collapsed, to guide prophets through wilderness, and to speak when human voices failed. And this week, some people are about to notice a specific creature crossing their path again and again. A bird appearing at the wrong moment. A deer standing motionless beside an empty road, a black dog emerging from darkness without a sound, a hawk circling overhead for far too long, a butterfly arriving in the middle of grief. And the terrifying part is this. What if none of it is random at all? What if heaven has been trying to get your attention, but you were trained your whole life to ignore the signs? Because according to ancient biblical patterns, God often whispers before he moves. And sometimes he whispers through creation itself. There is a reason Genesis says the animals were created before mankind ever took its first breath. A reason Job ask the animals, and they will teach you. Most people hear that verse and move on, but hidden inside it is a mystery almost nobody talks about anymore. In the ancient world, people believed creation itself carried echoes of divine movement. Not worshipped, not feared, but watched carefully, because certain moments in life came with certain signs, and strange patterns began appearing before major spiritual shifts, before wars, before miracles, before judgment, before rescue. This is why the story of Elijah becomes so unsettling when you really study it. During famine and collapse, God did not send soldiers or wealthy men to feed his prophet. He sent ravens, dark birds associated with death, creatures people avoided. Yet, heaven used what looked unclean to sustain a chosen man in isolation. Think about that. Sometimes the thing you fear carrying darkness may actually be carrying provision. And that changes everything about how we see the strange encounters happening around us this week. Because there are people watching this right now who have noticed repeated animal encounters recently. The same animal appearing over and over in impossible timing. And deep down, something inside you felt disturbed by it. Not because you're superstitious, but because your spirit recognized a pattern before your mind could explain it. Moses was tending sheep before heaven interrupted history through fire. Balaam's donkey saw the angel before the prophet did. Jonah ran from God and creation itself turned against him. Storms moved, creatures moved, nature responded. The Bible repeatedly shows a terrifying possibility most modern people ignore. Sometimes creation notices spiritual realities before humans do, because not every animal crossing your path carries the same meaning. Some represent warning, some represent protection, some represent transition. Some appear during seasons of hidden grief to bring comfort, and some appear right before God closes one chapter of your life forever. The eagle appears in Scripture during seasons of elevation and endurance. They shall mount up with wings like eagles, but eagles also fly highest during storms, not away from them. Meaning some people seeing birds repeatedly this week are not being warned that destruction is coming. They are being prepared to survive a storm others will not understand. Then there is the deer, one of the most mysterious biblical symbols of pursuit and spiritual thirst. As the deer pants for water, so my soul longs for you. In Scripture, deer often appear during seasons where people feel emotionally exhausted, spiritually dry, and desperate for direction, which means some viewers are not losing their minds. You are being drawn somewhere spiritually deeper than where you are now, and the discomfort you feel lately may actually be the beginning of awakening. Then there is the owl, often appearing in lonely places, in abandoned ruins throughout Scripture, symbols of isolation, silence, hidden truth inside darkness. And maybe that explains why some people feel emotionally separated lately, because there are seasons where God removes noise before revealing direction. Seasons where isolation is not punishment, but preparation. Then there are wolves, not always literal wolves, sometimes people carrying wolf-like energy, manipulation hidden behind charm, smiles hiding envy. The Bible repeatedly warns about wolves in sheep's clothing because destructive people rarely announce themselves openly, and some viewers already know exactly who this part is about. You have felt the warning in your spirit for weeks now. The exhaustion after certain conversations, the strange heaviness around certain individuals, the feeling that someone near you is not who they pretend to be. And what if those repeated signs crossing your path are not random fear, but divine protection trying to stop you before deeper damage happens? Because God does not always rescue loudly. Sometimes he warns quietly first. That is what happened to Joseph. Dreams appeared before disaster. Noah received warning before rain. Pharaoh saw symbols before famine. Heaven repeatedly revealed hidden danger before visible collapse arrived. And history proves the people who survived were usually the ones willing to pay attention while everyone else laughed. But there is another side to this mystery most people never hear about. Some animal encounters carry comfort, not warning. Butterflies appearing during grief, birds arriving during moments of despair, deer emerging during emotional emptiness. These moments often happen when people are silently praying for reassurance without even realizing it. Because one of the deepest truths in Scripture is this: God sees private pain, the tears nobody else notices, the silent panic hidden behind functioning routines, the loneliness hidden behind smiles. And sometimes creation itself becomes a reminder that you are not abandoned, that heaven still sees you, that your story is not over. This is why Jesus constantly pointed people back toward creation. Look at the birds of the air. Most people think that verse is only about worry, but there is something deeper hidden inside it. Christ was reminding people that creation itself reflects divine attention, meaning if God watches sparrows, he has not forgotten you either. Because there are people listening in darkness right now, feeling emotionally drained beyond explanation, carrying battles nobody around them fully understands, smiling in public while privately feeling themselves collapse inside. And somehow, right in the middle of this season, strange signs keep appearing around you, not to scare you, but to wake you up, to remind you that your life may be moving through a spiritual shift bigger than you currently understand. Because the sign itself is never the final message. The real question is what happens inside you when it appears: fear, conviction, peace, restlessness, sudden clarity. The Bible shows again and again that God often uses external moments to expose internal truth, meaning the animal is not the destination, it is the interruption, the awakening. The moment that forces you to pay attention to what your soul has been trying to tell you for months. And maybe that is why this message found you now. Not by accident, not randomly, but because some people were meant to hear this before the week ends, before the next sign appears, before the next door opens, before the next warning becomes impossible to ignore. Because God almost never moves without warning first. The question is whether you are spiritually awake enough to notice when the warning arrives.